Good evening and welcome to NewsNight. Tonight we'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm Alyssa Mandarak.
And I'm Cora Polanski. Point Park's most recent tax forms have just been released. We'll have details on what they reveal.
Also, we'll have the most recent updates on the war in Gaza, along with recent actions taken by NATO against Russia.
All this and more coming up on NewsNight.
We start tonight off with breaking news. Yesterday, political activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed during an event at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Kirk was sitting in front of a crowd of students at the university when he was shot in the neck and died just a few hours later.
The FBI Salt Lake City office is investigating the incident and timeline of events. The FBI initially arrested a person of interest, but after interrogation of law enforcement, the FBI released the person. As of now, a suspect is still at large, with the FBI and law enforcement following up on all leads.
On Tuesday, Israel issued an evacuation order for Gaza City residents, a recent escalation from the ground operations that began last week. As we near 2 years of war between Israel and Hamas, tensions are not faltering. Israel has been adamant that Hamas must end on their terms. Leaflets fell from the sky urging people to move south to al-Mawasi. Following these warnings, Israel attacked Doha, the capital of Qatar, with the goal of harming Hamas leaders. Hamas says senior leaders have survived, but some lower-ranked members did not. Qatar claims civilians have been killed in the attack. Countries around the world have condemned these strikes and are expressing disappointment with Israel's actions and the violence of this strike. Qatar's permanent representative to the UN is becoming weary of ceasefire talks.
NATO rushed to assemble a fleet of fighter jets to destroy Russian drones yesterday that entered Polish airspace. This was the first time that NATO attacked enemy targets in Allied airspace. Poland's government hurried to invoke Article 4 of the NATO treaty. The treaty ignites a formal discussion in the alliance when a member is under threat. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk said, quote, "We are dealing with a large-scale provocation. The situation is serious and no one doubts that we must prepare for various scenarios," end quote. Many details of this situation are still not released for security reasons. Since Trump has entered office, there has been a major shift in interest in international travel to America. First-time reporter Anaya Sierra has more details on how this is impacting America's tourism industry.
In recent years, the U.S. has experienced a slump in travel, and now the World Travel and Tourism Council has projected that in May, the United States is set to lose $12 billion in international visitor spending in 2025. The electronic system for travel authorization is set to increase. This follows after the Trump administration passed their most recent legislation. This will process over 40 countries that are part of the visa waiver program. Prior to the bill, applicants of the electronic system for travel authorization paid $2. Now travelers are required to pay $6, but mandatory fees will double on September 30th to $40. Lastly, travelers from China will be asked to pay a $30 enrollment fee for the electronic visa system. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson has stated the new visa integrity fee has not yet been applied and will require a cross-agency coordination before implementation.
The largest iceberg, named a 23A, is beginning to break apart and is drifting towards South Georgia Island between Africa and South America. Nearly 40 years ago, the iceberg broke off Antarctica and now is becoming undergrounded and drifting away from the coast. Small pieces are breaking off the iceberg. It is still winter in the southern hemisphere, and by summer, scientists believe that the upper part of the iceberg will saturate with water, which could cause the iceberg to shatter into thousands of pieces.
On September 2nd, Americans and the Holocaust, an exhibit at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., closed for upgrades after President Trump claimed that it held anti-American rhetoric. The closure of the exhibit, which looks at the U.S.'s response to Nazi Germany, sparked concern among museum staff. The closure follows a sweep of the Smithsonian museums ordered by President Trump, who wants the museums to, quote, reflect the unity, progress, and enduring values that defined American history, end quote. The exhibit is set to reopen this February.
In January, California suffered from devastating wildfires in the Palisades for over 3 weeks. Over 31 people died, over 20,000 acres burned, and thousands of structures were destroyed. Republican Senators Rick Scott of Florida and Ron Johnson from Wisconsin are launching an investigation claiming that the Democratic-led state and local governments are to blame for the fires. Their goal is to examine why the main reservoir was empty, causing a lack of water and inoperable fire hydrants when fighting the blazes. The New York Times has claimed that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was empty for 7 months and under repair. Since January, experts have claimed that even with preparation, this disaster would have been nearly impossible to prepare for. A perfect storm of rare conditions paired with hurricane-forced winds and an unimaginable drought made this fire entirely consuming of the area. After the tragic floods in Texas this past summer, the state government is looking to take action. First-time reporter Sophia Wise is here to tell us more.
On Friday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed 3 bills that will enforce more measures to protect children at summer camps from horrific flooding events. These laws, including the Heavens 27 Camp Safety Act and the Camper Act, will ensure that all summer camps throughout the state will be equipped with emergency systems like sirens and alarms, and all staff will be trained on flood safety protocol. After the signing, Governor Abbott met with families mourning the loss of their children from the flood that destroyed Camp Mystic over the summer and took 27 lives. During the incident, the camp failed to evacuate most of the 550 campers on site at the time. Campers and counselors were trapped in their cabins as floodwaters took over the camp. Families of the victims are responding positively to these new measures, as many feel that these laws should have been enforced to prevent this tragedy from occurring in the first place. With these new laws in place, there is hope that campers and families will not have to experience an event like this in the future.
A federal judge has blocked Trump's firing of Lisa Cook, the governor of the Federal Reserve. Trump is aiming to fire her due to allegations of mortgage fraud, which originated from Bill Pulte, the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. Cook has responded, saying Trump has no authority to fire her and that she will continue in her position. The Federal Reserve is considered a semi-private agency, which would give Trump no authority over firings. The Trump administration is likely to appeal the decision and take the case to the Supreme Court. Coming up after the break, we'll have updates about a series of sexual assault cases on the north side. We'll also move south and hear what the mayor's office is announcing about its safety work on the south side. Don't go anywhere.
Fayette County women Courtney Utze and her wife Sarah Shipley are facing additional charges as the investigation of their 9-year-old foster child develops. The body of Renesmee Utze was found in the Youghiogheny River near Smithton last week, and she was malnourished, bruised, and covered in cigarette burns. Utze and Shipley have been charged on many counts, including homicide. Since Renesmee was declared missing last Wednesday, her other siblings were removed from the home and found abused and neglected as well. Another child told police they witnessed the women kicking her in the stomach and threatening Renesmee to take her to a river, quote, far, far away, end quote. The biological mother had placed her 3 children in the care of Yutzi while she was trying to get back on her feet and claims she was not allowed to contact her kids, saying, quote, "They were supposed to be somebody I could trust with my kids while I got my life situated," end quote.
For the first time in 4 years, Point Park University's net income is positive, reaching $29,000, as revealed in tax filings from August 2023 to August 2024. As reported in the Globe, this comes as a major rebound from previous years, where last year Point Park's tax reforms revealed the university lost almost $13 million in the fiscal year 2022 to 2023. These forms also revealed Point Park's highest paid faculty, with President Chris Brusalis topping the list at over $560,000.
Since June, Pittsburgh police have received reports of what people online are calling the, quote, "North Side serial raper," end quote. So far, there have been 9 reports of assault. The suspected attacker is believed to be a smaller white male driving a white pickup truck. The crimes have mostly occurred along the East Ohio Street corridor between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Police are increasing patrols in the area Zone 1 and advise residents to travel in groups, stay alert, and report any suspicious activity.
A fire outbreak in Pittsburgh's South Side Slopes neighborhood on the morning of Thursday, September 4th, resulted in 4 firefighters being hospitalized when their ladders suddenly made contact with a nearby power line. The Pittsburgh Fire Department was first contacted at 8 a.m. about a fire taking place in the neighborhood. A resident of the area claims to have seen flames shooting out of the building's roof. The fire was able to be swiftly contained in the main building, as the fire department was able to make a quick response. However, more tragedy was yet to come when a ladder unexpectedly made contact with a nearby electrical line, shocking 4 of the working firefighters. The firefighters were eventually transported to UPMC Mercy Hospital following the events of the morning. All 4 of the victims are in stable condition and maintained their composure, according to Assistant Chief Matthew Davis of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire.
On August 9th, the city of Pittsburgh posted an update to public safety efforts in the South Side Nightlife District. This is the program's 3rd year and has so far decreased shootings, other violence, and felonies. Police presence will continue to be increased on the weekends. City Parks is also expanding its nightlife hours and activities in an attempt to limit youth and adult spaces. This includes late-night basketball events at the West Penn Recreation Center, which will take place every Friday from 9 p.m. to midnight. When we come back, we'll hear about a kind act at a restaurant did for a sick dog, and we'll also get our weekly weather report. Stick with us. User Cousin Homer shared a heartwarming story this week with the fellow users of the app. The TikToker's dog Bella had unfortunately come toward the end of her life, but the user saw an opportunity for a sweet send-off for their pet. Cousin Homer asked Missouri restaurant Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen to make Bella a steak dinner for her last meal. Upon Bella and cousin Homer's arrival to the eatery, the manager and his team presented the meal with condolences and goodbye notes to the dog. In the midst of TikTok doom scrolls, this was a happy highlight for many users this week. As the school year is starting to get into a full swing, we are all wondering how this weather will play out for this semester. Weather reporter Angelina Gagima is here to give us our first weather report for the school year.
Thanks, Alyssa. The fall season is beginning to dawn upon us, but that doesn't mean that we've fully escaped summer temperatures just yet. We'll start the day with a low of around 56 degrees, but as we get further into the day, by early evening, we'll be hitting temperatures in the low to mid-80s. You may have to bring a jacket for your morning classes, but be ready to ditch it by the time your afternoon classes get out. The sky is going to be partly cloudy, so be sure to get in some time in the sun before Pittsburgh clouds dawn upon us for the winter. We'll still be avoiding the cold Pittsburgh months this weekend and upcoming week. Fall is falling upon us. Saturday's weather will be similar to Friday's. There will be a low of 56 degrees and a high of 81 degrees. Sunday will continue the same trend with a low of 61 degrees and a high of 82. Steelers fans who will be at the home opener on Sunday will be enjoying beautiful weather while watching the game. The expected temperature at game time is 78 degrees. To start off the week on Monday, the low is 58 and the high is 79. The trend continues on Tuesday with a high of 79 degrees. Wednesday will also follow the pattern with a high of 80 degrees. Thursday's weather will heaten up a little more than the rest of the week with a high of 84 degrees and a low of 56 degrees. That's it for me. Back to the desk.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of NewsNight. If you want to see more, check out both of our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel or our website, uviw.pointpark.edu. I'm Cora Polanski.
And I'm Alyssa Mandarak. From everyone here at NewsNight, thank you for watching and have a great evening.